Brilliant. What a great start. I've just dropped all of my new books all over the floor. Okay, they're back up. They are precariously stacked next to my coffee. Look at this. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you, in case you haven't guessed from the thumbnail or the title of this video, I have for you a big, I think it's quite big, it's big for me anyway, a big book haul. So these are I think there's 9. These are the 9 books that have appeared on my shelf. I say appeared as though they miraculously found themselves there and I had nothing to do with it. Yeah, these are the 9 books that have appeared on my bookshelf probably in the last couple of months, maybe a little bit longer than that. There is a real eclectic mix here. I've even got some non-fiction, which is quite rare for me, and we have a real mix of genres, and they are from a variety of places. So I was lucky enough to get a few books for Christmas. I have a new book subscription, very exciting. I'll tell you more about that when we get to it. I managed to get to some charity shops. I can't even remember when that was, whenever they were last open. So I've got a couple here that were from there. There are a few from Amazon. You know what it's like. You've been on Instagram or you have been watching someone's video on YouTube and you're like, I have to read that and it needs to be on my shelf now. I sound like such a spoiled brat when I say that, but there are a couple of books in here that fell into that category, and I think that is it. So charity shop, Amazon, Christmas presents, and my new book subscription, which was also a Christmas present. So let's just get straight into it, shall we? Let's stop this pile from falling all over the floor again. Oh no, this one got a little bit bashed as it fell. No. First up, let's start with the non-fiction, and this was a present from Michael for Christmas. This is the Booksellers Tale by Martin Latham. I must say, I hadn't actually heard of this book before I received it for Christmas. Although, when I've read the blurb, I'm a bit like, why didn't I know about this? The book is basically about our love affair with books. Can you see why I don't understand how I hadn't heard about this before? You're doing your favourite thing, but what you're reading is also about your favourite thing. I think I'm gabbling. So the author, Martin Latham, is a Canterbury bookseller, and he, in this book, uncovers the history of our book obsession. Now, I think it's part cultural history, part memoir, part sort of love letters to books, and to be honest, I can't wait to read it. I also am wondering whether this is going to be similar to Kathy Retzenbrink's Dear Readers. I think it was Dear Readers, because I know that was all about sort of our love affair with books. In that, she was suggesting books that she's loved throughout her life. I'm just wondering whether this might be similar. So yeah, I'm really keen to give that a read. Next up is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This was a present from my parents for Christmas. I've already read it, I devoured it, and I loved it, and I've now passed it on to my dad, hence why I don't have it here. In case you haven't seen my full review of The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, I will leave that linked in the description below or up here. The Midnight Library was my first 5-star read of 2021, and bearing in mind it is only January, it's setting the bar quite high. Like I said, I am not going to talk in depth about this book because I do have a full review of that book on my channel. All I can say is that I think once I get the book back from my dad, I think this might be one of those books that I keep on my shelf, which is so rare for me because I am one of those people that only really likes to have books that I have yet to read on my shelves. So here, this is actually quite a big sort of tall unit. In here are all the books that I haven't yet read. It's rare for me to keep books that I have read, but The Midnight Library, the story is so special, and also the cover just looks really nice. So I think once I get that back from my dad, I'll pop it. Maybe it can have its own section. Next up is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn, Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This I spotted in a charity shop. Let's see, yeah, the Oxfam bookshop, which I love. £1.99, and it's in pretty much perfect condition. I would say that about most of the books I pick up from charity shops. They're in immaculate condition, and I'm someone who likes to keep my books like that. I don't bend the pages over, I don't crease the spines. So when I saw this in a charity shop, I knew I had to have it. I have heard so many people talk about this book and another one that I have got from this author in the stack here. I have never read any Taylor Jenkins Reid, which, how have I got to the age of 39? I love this genre of reading, and yet I have never read any of her books. Now, if you saw my 2021 most anticipated reads video, in that I speak about Malibu Rising, which is this author's new book coming out this year, and I am determined to read at least one of her books before that comes out in May. So this book is about a Hollywood star who finally feels it's time to reveal the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life in her biography. Like I said, I can't believe that I haven't read any of this author's books before. Whenever I read the blurb of any of her books, I think, totally up my street. Why haven't I read this before? There's one book that's particularly slippy in this stack, and I'm blaming that one. It nearly took out my coffee that time. Okay, so next up we have The Betrayals by Bridget Collins. This is very exciting, this book, as this is the first book I have got from my new book subscription. I have never had a book subscription before, and for Christmas, Michael got me a subscription to NB Books. I had never heard of NB Books before, but this came along with their quarterly magazine, so this is it here. And oh my god, I have read this from cover to cover. So it's got interviews with the author of this book. It's got a Q&A with Kathy Retzenbrink. I mean, we were literally just talking about her. Thing in here about debuts this year. It's got reviews of new books. It has Q&As with authors. It has interviews with authors. It's just so lovely. I mean, let me just show you what it looks like inside, apart from all this gum that's falling out. Look how lovely this is. So with my subscription, I will get one of these magazines every quarter, which I can't wait, and I receive a book every month. So this is my December book. Now, the one thing I am a bit bummed about, and when I was reading this, I think I know what the next 3 books are that I'm gonna get. I don't know about you, but I think if I get a book subscription, I would like it to be a surprise. I almost don't want to know what's coming through the post until I unwrap it. So that's okay. I will just make sure that in the next magazine I get, I don't read that particular section. I have heard a little bit about this book. I've heard people mention it. I didn't know a huge amount about the story until I read the inside cover. I believe this is sort of fantasy mixed with historical fiction, which again aren't my sort of typical genres, but you know what I said at the end of last year about my reading goals for 2021. I'm trying to broaden my reading horizons, so this is really going to help. The Betrayals is about an exclusive academy in the mountains where students are trained in the Grand Jeu. Jeu? Have I got that right? J-E-U, which is a mysterious contest apparently. Now, just from that, I am getting Harry Potter Quidditch vibes. I'm sure anyone who's watching this video now and has read this book is probably laughing. They're probably like, it is nothing like that. I don't know where you've got that from. That's just sort of my initial impression. So I'll let you know, of course, whether that is right once I've read this. Next up, we have probably the smallest of all of the books and one of the covers that I absolutely love. And this is Mr. Pip by Lloyd Jones. And this was shortlisted for the 2007 Man Booker Prize. I love this cover. Found this in a charity shop for 99p. What can you get for under £1 these days? I sound like such an old lady. I feel as though this might be one of those books that's on the list of books you need to read in your lifetime, and I think I've got another one of those coming up. It isn't a new book, but I feel as though it's one of those classics. not in the sort of true sense of the word. It's actually a very slim book, just over 200 pages. So this is going to be one of those books that I'll pick up if I feel as though I'm sort of slipping behind on my Goodreads challenge. So this book is about a white man who introduces the black children of a small island in Papua New Guinea to the book Great Expectations, against a backdrop of civil war. I like a book about a book. The reviews on this are quite mixed, but as I always say, I'm quite keen to make my own mind up about it, so I'm not going to read too much into those. The next book is another one that I think would be on those sort of books you have to read in your lifetime list. This is also the really slippy one. This is the one I am blaming for my books falling all over the floor at the start of this video. So yeah, another book that I got from the charity shops, this is again from the Oxfam bookshop, is The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. This is a international #1 bestseller. Clearly this isn't going to be a light-hearted read, so I think I might take a little bit of time before I pick this up. It doesn't really feel, my head doesn't really feel in the right sort of space to read something like this at the moment. But again, like I said, I think this is one of those books that is probably on a sort of you need to read this in your lifetime list. So just in case you don't know, it tells the story of a Slovakian Jew, Sokolov, who fell in love with the girl he was tattooing at the concentration camp. And the story is based on the true lives of Sokolov and his wife. Again, there are mixed views on this book, probably sort of more serious mixed views on this book than Mr. Pip. But this has been criticised. When I was doing a little bit of research into this book, it's been criticised that the events in this book are factually incorrect. But I'm going to give it a go. Okay, next up, and one I'm really excited about, is another Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this is Daisy Jones and the Six. Again, I've heard so many people talk about this book. This one and The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I keep wanting to get mixed up with The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which I hated, by the way, and did not finish. So probably best I don't get them mixed up. This was one of those I have to have that book order from Amazon. It's very flimsy, I would say. It's one of those books that sort of doesn't have a lot of structure to it. This book is about a 70s iconic rock band, their beautiful lead singer, and their infamous breakup. I've heard so many people say that this reads like a true story, like a documentary. It gets a solid rating of 4.2 on Goodreads, and to be honest, my expectations of this, along with The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, my expectations are high for both of these books. I just really hope that they live up to the hype. We will soon see. Obviously, I will be reading all of these books and reviewing them on my channel, so it gives you also a little bit of a taste of book reviews to come. Then we have, we're almost there now, then we have a Christmas book. I told you there was a festive one in here somewhere, and this is Sarah Morgan, The Christmas Sisters. This was one I got in a charity shop before Christmas when the shops were open, 99p. Also, I love Sarah Morgan. I've read a couple of her books now and it put me in such a festive mood, so I'm hoping that this will do the same. This one is set in the Highlands of Scotland. Very snowy, very festive backdrop, where Suzanne's 3 adopted daughters are coming to stay for Christmas. She's super excited about it, but tensions are running high. So I think this is probably going to be a sort of a bit of a family drama. I'm really excited to read this one. Obviously, I will not be reading it anytime soon. I know last year I started my Christmas reading, I think it was in October, so I'll probably do the same again this year, but this seems very festive, so I think this is something I will save until December time. And last but no means least this was another Amazon purchase. I had heard so many people talking about it, raving about it, and I thought, I have to have it, it has to be on my bookshelf now. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I think this was published around 2015, so it's definitely not a new book, but I know it's being adapted to a film later this year, December, I think. And Dakota and Elle Fanning are due to be playing the 2 sisters. So this is basically about 2 sisters who are living in France in World War II and their struggle to survive and resist the German occupation. So again, not a light-hearted read whatsoever, and also I've just looked in the book and the font is tiny. I like small font. My Kindle is probably on the smallest font it can go, but look at this. Is that focusing? That's pretty small. And it's not a short book either. What are we looking at? Probably 400-ish pages? Yeah, about 430 pages. But it is a multi-million #1 New York Times bestseller. So again, I have high expectations for this book, but it's typically not my genre of reading. And like I said, trying to broaden my reading horizons. So this will be another one to help with that. So those are all the books that I have acquired over the past few months. Obviously I will be reading all of those at some point this year, I hope, so you can expect to see full reviews of those books on my channel. Sorry if the shot has changed, literally my memory card just said it was full right at the end. I could do with a little bit of help from you guys. I am sure so many of you that are watching have read Daisy Jones and the Six and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, both obviously by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am determined, like I said, to read at least one of these before her new book comes out in May. So please let me know which you think I should read as a total newbie to Taylor Jenkins Reid. Let me know in the comments below. I'm also going to be putting a poll over on my Instagram, I think, because I know there are so many people over there as well that have read these books. Let's see what everyone thinks, and whichever one wins will be the one that I read next. Also, if you're not following me over on Instagram, I will leave where you can find me in the description below. Come on over. I quite often do polls on what I should read next over there. It's been so helpful. Just means that I don't have to decide, which I've become really rubbish at making decisions lately. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed, but you enjoy book reviews of romance, popular fiction, as you can see, maybe a bit of historical fiction, maybe a thriller. If that is up your street, please subscribe, because I have plenty more of that coming, along with, I am sure, more book hauls. And I'm thinking about reading vlogs. Let me know what you think about that, by the way. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again back here next week, where I will have a book review for you of Leave the World Behind by Ruman Alam. I hope that hasn't given too much away. Take care, have a good week, and I'll see you soon. Bye!